we just felt clothes are going to need to be made in the proper way. They are expensive to make, and we need to have the right materials. They're always going to be that expensive. On the other hand, everyone should have a right to enjoy and explore fashion. And in order to do that, for so many people, it needs to be affordable. And so you have this balance that is currently being met by either making cheap clothes that are made in an unethical or unsustainable way so that people can afford them and enjoy them, or clothes that are made in the right way and expensive because they should be, because they're investments and they're using the earth's resources, but that people can't really access that even though they might want to. And so we just felt that, okay, going forward, we love that brands are doing new things with materials, and they should have expensive products that are made to last. But on the other side, we need to start understanding how we share that cost so that more people can access it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the NuOceans podcast. I'm Flavio, and I will be your host today. I'm so excited for our new guest that we're really grateful to have. She is from Malahide, just north of Dublin, and she used to be a fashion lover and still is. And like many of us, go to fast fashion brands because they're cheap and attractive. But that all changed when, volunteering in India back in 2013, the Rana Plaza disaster happened. And after seeing that and experiencing the sad truth behind fast fashion, she became really angry and frustrated about what we are all doing to both planet and people. And with a friend, she set out to create an alternative model to fast fashion. And that's why in 2015, the NuWardrobe was born. It's a really cool app and platform that was developed to enable users to share their clothes and offer a sustainable alternative to fast fashion, with a mission to ensure that every piece of garment in every wardrobe really gets the wear and love that it deserves. She's also been listed as one of Ireland's 30 under 30. I would like to welcome Aisling to the podcast.
Hi. Great to be here.
It's so great to have you here with us. Do you want to add anything else about yourself, a little bit more about how you got where you are and what's your story?
Yeah, so I guess New came about quite organically, like you mentioned, from experiences that I had in India, just seeing firsthand the environmental and cost and the kind of human exploitation that went behind our clothes. And I think one of the biggest frustrations for me, and what we always talk about with New, is we didn't necessarily have the means or resources or kind of knowledge of how to start our sustainable journey into fashion. And there was a feeling that maybe sustainable fashion was sometimes very exclusive or something that wasn't available or easily accessible to us. And it's something that we felt that when we set it up, we were in university at the time, and we just kind of felt that, we had a wardrobe full of clothes and we wanted to do something to kind of make a change, and that we needed to almost create our own ecosystem and our own kind of rules for that really fit the problems that we had as young women. And I guess the kind of way that you'd naturally want to be able to use what you already have. So yeah, it was just something that we kind of started with, this idea that we wanted to make these sustainable fashion solutions accessible to all. And the best way to do that was just being able to replicate the authenticity of sharing with friends into this kind of online platform. And I guess that's why we're a little bit different and a little bit new for what's out there. But definitely kind of rooted in our own experiences.
Yeah, because it's a really cool, really different approach to a lot of brands. When you think sustainable fashion, it's immediately focusing on what materials are we going to use, and that as well. We immediately focused on, we weren't looking at fashion first. We were actually looking at the materials. But a lot of sustainable fashion brands, it's always, what can I replace stuff with and create something new? But you actually went a different route, and you looked at what we already have and what can we do what can we do with that? And that's really one of the key drivers, I think, of sustainability.
Yeah, so just to, that's exactly how we kind of felt. Was there were so many brands doing amazing things in terms of materials, in terms of how you look at clothes and how they're designed and how you almost design for the end of life. And, as young students and just lovers of fashion, we knew that we didn't have the skills to kind of partake in that side of the industry. But what we did recognize was, if you're making clothes that are made in a sustainable way, that's only part of the solution. There's this whole other side that needs to be thought about in terms of what do we do when we actually own our clothes. And that's kind of the part of the cycle that we felt we had some control over, and we thought that needed to change. And all of these different things need to change together in order to actually create this more circular fashion system. And I think it's really important that there are a diverse set of solutions and a really diverse set of ideas. I think the fashion industry has got so competitive and so fast and so cheap because everyone is buying into this one system and everyone is dependent on this one system. And so to create this accessible new circular system, it needs to be a huge amount of ideas, and so many ideas that everyone is really catered to, and everyone can access these in different ways, and everyone has this kind of freedom of choice. And looking more closely at that, to us, we just felt clothes are going to need to be made in the proper way. They are expensive to make, and we need to have the right materials. They're always going to be that expensive. On the other hand, you have everyone should have a right to enjoy and explore fashion. And in order to do that, for so many people, it needs to be affordable. And so you have this balance that is currently being met by either making cheap clothes that are made in an unethical or unsustainable way so that people can afford them and enjoy them, or clothes that are made in the right way and expensive because they should be, because they're investments and they're using the Earth's resources, but that people can't really access that even though they might want to. And so we just felt that, okay, going forward, we love that brands are doing new things with materials, and they should have expensive products that are made to last. But on the other side, we need to start understanding how we share that cost so that more people can access it. And that there's a buy-in from the kind of customer and ownership perspective, that we understand both how our clothes are made, but the lives that they have before they get to us and when they leave us, and that we're part of that cycle, and we have a responsibility to, I guess, fulfill the life of our clothes and to ensure that, you know, they're doing what they set out to do, that they're worn and loved many times over, that they go on to have a wonderful life, and that they kind of go somewhere after that. And we felt that that was our position in the fashion cycle, looking at the use phase and saying, okay, well, if the clothes are going to be made better, we also need to educate people on how they use and love them better too.
Yeah, that's really great. I think that's a really important part of the cycle that you pointed out on, and that really depends on this community and adding meaning to the clothes that you buy and that you share, and that builds a really cool community. I think that's something you've been experiencing through the journey since 2015, because obviously you started very small, and now, like, how was that, building this community and people's reactions and education?
It was really exciting. I think we almost started in a naive position where we thought, oh, we're going to solve the fast fashion problem. And we kind of set out to do that really big. And then we realized that actually you do need to start quite small. But I guess because it had been a personal problem and we had witnessed it, we knew that there would be other people who felt that way too. And it was just about finding people and kind of trying to prove that out time and time again. And I think when you're beginning to build any kind of business, you often have like advice from, you know, people who are really experienced, people who have worked in the industry. And I think there's a lot of perception about how, you know, in quotation marks, customers or consumers are and how they should behave, and that they're lazy and that they don't care. And I think what we found is, actually, no, this is something that is really important and really plays on people's mind a lot, and they're really willing to go that extra mile when they're empowered to be part of the change rather than kind of passively watching the change all of the time. So I mean, the relationship with members is, it's just wonderful. I moved to London in 2018 when we originally, after the kind of idea had been tested. So the first test was, I went back to the university that I'd been in, and I went around lecture halls and I just said, look, there's a ball coming up at the end of the year. You guys all wore dresses last year for the ball. You're not going to wear them this year. Can you email me photos? I'll put them on a landing page. You can all request to borrow them instead of going to buy something new. And we're going to talk to you about your carbon waste and water offset. And a lot of people were like, what's that? Clothes and pollution? No way. But I mean, times have really moved on from that, because That was back in 2017, and it's even encouraging how much that's grown. But just the conversations that came out of that, the relationships that were built in the university, this kind of camaraderie and a real sense of, like a shared, I guess, would you call it ambition, that we just, or kind of a shared frustration, or everything that ties into this kind of climate anxiety. And then so when I moved to London, I really didn't know anyone there. I maybe knew 4 or 5 people. And so this was the real test. It was like, okay, are people going to use our clothes sharing platform who aren't people that I've just kind of come into contact because they're friends, and you're like, please put your clothes up.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to build something. So I set out an Instagram ad and ended up meeting 70 people for coffee, just to say, why did you write back? And do you like this idea? And do you want to get involved? And so many of them are my friends today and part of the new community, and really heavily involved in what we're building. And so much of the reaction to that was, I just felt that this is something I could actually get involved in, as opposed to just watching it happen. And I honestly wouldn't have written back if I thought it was just, another thing to, buy, or another thing to kind of get involved in. And I guess it kind of spoke a real truth about how frustrated people were feeling, that we just basically, in the call out, we just said, we just don't think it's okay that clothes are getting thrown away. We want to share them. We all have enough. And that was enough for people to say, I think that too. And I think building that community, it builds a story around the pieces that we wear. We did a piece with the Irish Times, which is about one of the dresses that I actually shared on the platform, which is just a simple blue maxi. It's, I think, about 20 borrows in at this point. And I love it all the more for it. But this story was lovely because it was really about this dress having a way better social life than me, but just going so many places and having so many experiences and kind of always coming back. And I think that's the really beautiful thing, that the community can add to clothes in a way that the fashion industry, or fast fashion industry, to an extent, is kind of taken away. It's that emotional attachment to a piece, and we always look at the pieces on the platform as the most valuable pieces are the ones that tell the best stories, rather than tying them to any financial value, because that's objective. The fashion industry, as opaque as it is, we don't know really what it means to buy a good piece when we don't have enough information about where it comes from. But what a community can do is kind of say, well, this is what we have, and we're gonna love and use it because those are our resources and we don't want them to be wasted. So I think everything to Nu is community. We're built by community. We change with our community. We always listen to our community, and we're just completely led by our community. So it puts a lot of faith in, I guess, gives you real faith for that we can absolutely tackle this climate crisis, because once people are given the opportunity and see all these amazing ideas like NuOcean and Nu, and there's just so many different platforms that are popping up, and even like how Depop is getting so big, it's just really encouraging that kind of change is happening.
What you've done really points to the beauty of how we can achieve sustainability by actually sharing with others on everything we do, the way we operate as a society and as individuals. If we come together as a community, and as you mentioned, people actually reacted. They saw your ad, and they were get involved. And
like, who meets someone for coffee in London that they don't know?
Exactly. And that's just such a beautiful story, and really points to a crucial element of how we're going to tackle this crisis we're all in, is that we have to come together as individual communities and as one whole community, because obviously not everyone can fight every fight, but say one community like Nu, and another community on beach cleans, and another community on sustainable agriculture and all that kind of stuff. All of these communities together will form part of this change that is really, really needed. And I think your story is a really good case study to show that it works.
Yeah,
it really
absolutely.
So on that note, what would be your top 3 pieces of advice for someone who wants to enjoy fashion sustainably?
So there's kind of 3 different things that I would say. One, of course, is sharing, which I'll go to after. But there's also 2 really good tips that I kind of learned along the way. And initially, when I was learning about sustainable solutions, I felt like sometimes they were very far away. Especially, I was living in Ireland at the time, so there wasn't as much access to sustainable brands, although now there's like a really, really healthy environment for that. But the first two things are things that I just believe that you can start with immediately. And the first one is the wardrobe challenge. So it's all about just getting to know what your personal style is, because if you have pieces that you love, you'll wear them more and you'll start understanding what makes you feel really good. And really, that's what fashion should do. It should kind of speak for you and tell your story in the way that you want to, and just make you feel really, really confident. And so basically what you do is at the start of the month, you put all your clothes on hangers and you have the hangers facing all the same way. And then throughout the month, as you wear a piece of clothing, just flip the hanger around so you know that you've worn that piece. And then at the end of the month, go back to your wardrobe and just say, what do I actually wear and why? And what do I not wear and why? And often it's about colors, it's about textures, it's about fit, it's about quality. And it just means that if you are going and you are buying a piece, you're less likely to do the thing where you're just like, oh, that's on sale. Yes, I'll just grab that. Or, oh, this is amazing. Or maybe I'll just take it and return it if I don't like it. And it's just building in that more conscious behavior. And it's showing you the wardrobe that, I guess it's allowing you to audit your wardrobe and become a little bit more conscious about what you haven't worn in a while, what you can do with those pieces, and buying into kind of your responsibility again of giving those pieces another life. The second one is just a bit different to the last, but it's about denim jeans. So a lot of jeans, a lot of their environmental impact just comes in the cleaning process. But jeans themselves, I guess as organic material, or often, sorry, a natural material rather than an organic material, is you shouldn't actually wash your jeans. So what happens if you wash jeans is they tend to lose their shape, they kind of peter out a little bit quicker than you'd want to, and there's a huge just environmental impact within that. So like there's a lot of water that goes into making jeans, and you want to try and cut down the environmental impact of that over their life cycle. And the CEO of Levi's also kind of bought into this idea where they were like, if you want to keep your jeans in good quality, just don't wash them. So what you should do instead is just bat them out kind of like against a wall, and then hang them on the line to air dry, and also to pop them in the freezer in a plastic bag for a couple of days, or any bag that you have at your disposal. And that just kind of kills off the germs. But if you're buying like a pair of luxury jeans, like you wouldn't want to be washing them because they tend to lose their shape. Obviously, if they get totally wrecked, like give them a wash, you're like that. But there's just really no need to do it. And it's just kind of like this understanding that, you know, we have the environmental impact that goes into the process of making our clothes, but also in how we wear and treat our clothes. And this kind of understanding that, you know, you don't always need to dry clean things, you don't need to wash things absolutely every day. Like, we should be kind of looking at, do microfibers leak in the wash, and what kind of comes out of that, and just to chill out a bit about washing your clothes, you know, like just make sure you're healthy and you smell good. But that's, I think, a really good tip for one thing that you can change in your wardrobe. And then the third would obviously be sharing or swapping on Nu. So essentially what Nu is a community of like-minded people. It's a flat monthly membership fee of £7.99 or €9.99 per month. And once you're a member, everyone in the communal wardrobe contributes their own pieces, and then you can share or swap in the same way that you would with friends. So for swaps, you get tokens that you can then use across the platform. And for borrows, you simply have to have a piece up that you would like to lend, and you'd be happy to lend to members of the community. And so within that, we just try to take away any barriers to actually getting our clothes worn, and just look at how we all love the pieces, and how we would borrow them if we were sharing in the same way with friends. So they'd be my top 3 tips to kind of just start your sustainability journey today.
Yeah, those are great tips. I think so. The wardrobe challenge is definitely a good way of checking, doing an audit, as you mentioned, of what you actually and you don't wear, towards being more conscious in buying. Then your washing, especially jeans. I didn't know that. And obviously check out Nu and share clothes, because I think that's really it's a great way forwards. It's definitely a thing that's a good thing to start. And you know, right now we're hopefully at the end of a big crisis that we've all gone through as a community, as a world community in a way, and it's shaken a lot of beliefs in the world economy and the way things work. What would you say is the main lesson we should take home from this COVID-19 crisis?
I think it's that oh God, there's a lot to take away. I feel like there's been a big kind
Yes,
of reflection period. But I think at the end of the day, it's this realization that absolutely nothing matters more than people, and or a quality of life, or being able to enjoy what it is and where it is that we live, kind of like the planet that we live on. And I think it just is this realization that, do we need stuff? Does it make us happy? Do people need to put their lives at risk to produce things? Is that really what we've come to? And I think just like the likes of fashion brands not paying for orders that were produced for them, and saving bottom lines. And I think it was brilliant to see government step up and say, number one, and the first thing that we're going to do is make sure that people can live, and that's it, like that's the bottom line. And just this kind of sense of community that's coming out of it. But what I think you're right, what it's done is expose the entire system and say, this system works for some, and the repercussions of when it doesn't work for you are catastrophic, and they are unfair, and we need to change this going forward. And I think everything, every part of the way our system operates needs to be looked at. And I think it's also a lesson of how quickly the world can turn and how it can really affect everyone. There's no one that this isn't going to touch. And I think the same will, we know that the same will be for climate change. There's not going to be anyone in the end who is unaffected by this. And I mean, the planet would obviously be a lot healthier if like humans weren't there, but we would also like to be here. So it's just this kind of realization that, the world is a powerful place and we need to respect it and we need to love it. I went to an amazing talk by an astronaut for NASA who said that when the first photos of the Earth were released, I don't know what the phenomenon was called, but it's like this feeling that astronauts can get where they finally actually get to look at the world from the outside, and a realization that there's actually only one. And it's kind of a realization that not everyone in their life, well, obviously, will get to have. But I thought that was really important. And what he took from that was, we need to stop this mentality that we're protecting the Earth. We need to start this mentality that we're guests here and we actually need to love and care for it, because in the end it's going to need to do whatever it needs to do to stay alive. And we just, as humans, just keep constantly trying to mess that up. So I think that's an important thing to take away from it, that we need to look out for ourselves, look out for our environment, and really get down to the nitty gritty of what's actually important in life, and start developing our economy and our systems around that.
Yeah, I think the way you put it at the beginning, when you said the fact that nothing matters more than human lives, is really the bottom line. Because in this big fight against climate change and inequality, and the way the system is clearly not treating the many but treating the few and their bottom lines, is what this is about at the end of the day. Why we fight climate change, why we look for sustainability and equality, it's because every human life matters, not because we have a pretty forest. It's because it's about people. And I think that's just a beautiful way you put it there. Yeah. And I just have one more question. Say we are, I don't know, 80, 70, however many years down from now, and you're looking back at your life, what would be the impact you would like to see you have left?
I would obviously love to see Nu grow and have a significant impact on how the fashion industry changes and works, and gives people the opportunity to kind of learn about fashion and taking care of those resources. I guess one thing for me that I've always felt is, we have started a community, and even if Nu were to stop today, there's so many people who know about fashion now, and so many people who have once in their life shared clothes, or once in their life swapped a piece, and have taken that story and that experience and kind of told their friends. And so I think, if anything, I would love to know that we started a conversation that really needed to be had, and that conversation grew and changed in whatever way it needed to ultimately result in a change system. And I think it would be brilliant to know that, we as a team felt that something was wrong, and we did what we could and within our means to fix that, and that had some sort of result. And I think I would really like a lot of the impact of Nu to be that other people could also go on and start things because they were inspired, or because they felt that they too could do it. I always think of, different business models like Rent the Runway being there. I listened so much to the founders and their stories and what they did, and the way they talked about it. They were just so encouraging of other people and their ideas, that it just made us feel like, well, we can do something in this space too. Like, there's constantly people going before you who are just knocking down barriers and saying, actually, we can, and actually this needs to be solved, and we're going to try and do it. And whether or not that succeeds, or if it doesn't actually work out at the time, it makes the road easier for everyone coming behind. And I think what I found a lot in, just different business pitches and the different way the system is now, is that it's very hard for both female founders and people who are working on sustainability businesses. Obviously this is getting a lot better, but to really get the capital and the kind of funding that you need to back the idea, and it's all about having people who believe in that. But I've met founders who are working on, like the founder Tessa of Olio, which is a food sharing platform. Like, I met with her and she gave me just incredible advice and incredible connections and support. And I hope that what Nu can offer is like that to our members as well, that, we're not just a community, but we're a community that's sharing clothes, but we're a community of people with ideas who can connect and who can grow and have those kind of shared values. And I think if we can grow that and that can come out of this space, I would be so unbelievably proud of what it was that we started, because I think conversations really are able to change things, and then actions come after.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's really, really great stuff. Really powerful vision for where you want to end up at the end of this. Thanks. Before we wrap up and I let you go, was there anything you would like to add? Any content you'd like to share? Do you want to let people know where they can find you, where to follow?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now it's quite an exciting time. The COVID impacted a lot of different businesses, and like any business, we've kind of changed and pivoted. And we started off as a borrowing platform where you would upload pieces and you could borrow them for a short term, a lot of social occasions. Obviously that's changed quite a lot, but we're kind of going back to our roots where we started as a swap shop. And so we're launching our swap feature, where you're able to upload and permanently trade pieces. So you can upload a piece, you're given either a gold or a silver token, and you can use that token to take a piece home for keeps. And it allows you to kind of look at a more casual wear and look at the entirety of your wardrobe, and not just those kind of one-time wear pieces as well. So we'd really love for people to get involved in that. We also have a brand ambassador program for people who would like to bring Nu to their area. So right now we're going nationwide across Ireland and the UK, but we're really, really keen to start setting up in other locations. And we've also introduced a delivery partnership with Parcel Motel and UPS, and we look at a low carbon model of locker drops where you can send it from person to person. So you can download the app on the App Store as Nu, NUW, or the Google Play Store. You can also find more information at NuWardrobe.com, and Nu is spelled NU within that, and follow us on all social channels at We Are Nu.
Great, perfect. Thanks a lot. So that is, again, NuWardrobe. Remember, that's an NU, just like NuOceans.
yeah, exactly.
How we connected at the beginning. And do make sure you go check it out and give it a follow and try it out. It's a really cool app. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on, and I will see everyone else on the next episode. Thanks. Bye.